Hey everybody, Matt here for AVC. Welcome back to the shop. In our recent new build video, we asked the community for comments and questions about our build series and anything we might have missed. We wanted to thank everybody for all their great comments and all of their support. We had so many wonderful questions, we thought they warranted a video of their own. So consider this our very first Q&A. I'm going to read these questions in the order they came in. Let's jump right in. Justin R. asked, would love to see some more info about the Bedlift system you're using. Well, Justin, I know the community is definitely interested in the Bedlift system that we are using, and it's something we're working towards offering to the community. Right now, I don't really have a way of offering it to the DIY market, right? It's a really complicated system. It involves a lot of like cutting and splicing wires, things like that. We're cleaning up the furniture that we design and manufacture that fits it inside. So stay tuned. It's something I've been working towards. I've actually been working for that for like over a year and a half now. COVID and all the supply chain issues really stifled it. I had a bunch of custom cables ordered at one time, and then the manufacturer just didn't make them. So we're working with a couple different companies trying to offer that system to you all. So stay tuned, and hopefully we're going to get that one out to you soon. Joel S. asks, would be great to see your order options for your 148 long body Transit 350, and also curious about our 2023 orders. So to answer your last question first, I have not put any 23 orders in, but we do plan to do an updated order guide for 2023. We've reached out to Ford Marketing to see if they can get us any insights or info on some of the newer details, and I haven't heard anything back yet, but I'm sure we will any day now. We are also going to do a build update as we start our new build series, and we'll give you all the details on that Transit 350 that we ordered. Jeff asks, would love to see some details on how items are secured to our van and how easily they might come out. Cabinets, bed systems, seats, etc. We do plan on showing you how to install all the different cabinets that we put in our van. We did rush through the end of our last build, and mostly because we needed to sell that van off. So now we're starting a new build series. We're going to take our time, show you a little bit more detail on how we put in some of those cabinets and how easily they can come out. Generally, the cabinets that we put in are pretty integrated with some of the systems. So whenever we have electrical going into those things, water going into those things, it makes it really difficult to bring those cabinets out. And as a DIY channel, it's really good for you to understand what goes into installing those things. So if you don't integrate a bunch of systems into your cabinets, they come out really easy. If you integrate all that kind of stuff in there, they're probably in there for the long haul. KF asks, plumbing please, hot water options, filtration, water and gray tanks, and would love to see what we do for the electric bed. So thanks KF. I mentioned that electric bed system, so we will try and tackle that sometime in the future. Plumbing is definitely one we're going to be reviewing with you. We're going to do a simple plumbing system. We're also going to be doing hot water. The van we ordered has the hot water bypass coming from the vehicle engine. So we are going to be running an ISO temp 4.2 gallon hot water heater, and we're going to be tying it into the Ford Transit engine. So that way we have hot water every time we're driving around. We do put gray tanks in all of our vans. Typically we put the gray tank inside the cabinets, because here in Colorado we want to keep all of our water inside the van so that we have the longest season without worrying about freezing and things like that. So stay tuned. I think plumbing is definitely going to have its own video. Oliver asks, does your wall kit just screw directly into the van frame? I've noticed other van builders frame out the van with timber first. Are there pros and cons to the two installs, namely insulation benefits of space, things like that? All of our wall kit screws directly to the metal of the van. I know some people fur out the van with wood, and honestly I don't know why. I don't really think it's necessary, because either you're taking that furring strip and screwing it into the van and then screwing your wall kit to it, but I don't really understand the reason for that. I guess you have a little bit more of a thermal break between the two, but for us, we're trying to maximize that space inside the van, so anything we're adding that's extra is just added weight and decreased space inside of our living area. So for us, we just screw directly to the metal of the frame. James asks, have we ever used the dead space, like in the area above my right shoulder? Seems like it could be a cool place for soft goods and put in some hidden secure storage. James, I do think you're onto something. I've always thought about putting some little cubbies into those open pockets in the van. It might end up being a little bit more trouble than it's worth, but you've inspired me. We're going to tackle this one, and we'll add it as like a bonus video to our wall kit when we put this one together. Doug Looney asks, the Transit has a new auxiliary fuel port extension, so they can avoid dropping the fuel tank to install something like a Webasto or an S-Bar. So unfortunately, we never use the auxiliary port that's on the Transit tank because it's a 10 millimeter port, and the S-Bar and the Webasto want to drink from something much smaller, like a 2 millimeter port. So if we use that factory port that's installed in the tank, we're going to come up with fuel system error issues, and we're just not going to get consistent running from our S-Bar. Now, some of you folks that live at sea level, you might have enough wiggle room that it'll function for you, but us up here at high elevation where it's altering the fuel consumption, it just isn't going to work, and I don't recommend it. So here at AVC, we always drop the tank, we add an aftermarket tap, and we do it the right way. It's a tough one to tackle, and we're considering offering that as a video on our YouTube channel, but we have a bunch of other stuff to offer, and it's a pretty in-depth one. If you guys really want to see that one, let us know in the comments below. Doug also asks, I haven't seen a video for the new S-Bar heater yet either. I think the reason we haven't seen a video for that heater is they have not brought it to North America. So I heard they have released it in Europe and they're having some problems with it. And so S-Bar North America said, hey, don't bring it over here. We don't want to deal with it. And so we're kind of on the same page there. If it's not good enough for my local S-Bar reps, I don't want to deal with it either. We use the M2 B4L. It's a little bit oversized for the Ford Transit, but it does a really good job. If you are curious, you can do a B1LC, but the price difference is negligible. I would go for the B4 and run it with the Easy Start Pro. It's going to be much better. If you're curious about some of those things, maybe leave it in the comments below and we can tackle that coming up in the future. B. Gibbs asks, when you hook up the Goal Zero, could you show all the actual connections and all the wires used when connecting to the fuse box? I think this is going to be a great video. I'm putting in a Goal Zero in the next van that we're doing. I think we're going to capture all of that. It's a really easy process and it's a really great intro to electrical. It's going to make a great video. Good suggestion. Jonathan asks, two things he wants to know. One is seat install, and two is, I don't know how we bolt our cabinets into the wall, and do we secure them through the floor? So let's tackle cabinets first. Cabinets, we definitely are going to show you how we bolt all of our cabinets in. We use Unistrut to install all of our cabinets here at the shop, and we install all of our cabinets to the walls of the van. We very seldom bolt things through the floor. There are a couple of exceptions to the rule. We do bolt our passenger side door sink cabinet through the floor because there's not a wall to bolt it to, but we also bolt it to the cabinets that are adjoining. We also have what we call a non-passenger bench that we use the same kind of seating system that we bolt our seats into, and we use those, we bolt them through the floor. A non-passenger bench for us is like a wooden bench that we design here at the shop. I'm not going to put seatbelts in something like a wooden bench that I design here because it's not going to be safe. But we do build those for a place to sit and hang out in your camper that you don't need seatbelts. So if you're just two people, but you want an extra seating area in the back, it's a really great place to add some extra storage, hide a potty, stuff like that, and not have to have the expense of putting in a seat-belted seat. Jonathan asked about installing seats, and that's kind of a muddy one. Although I really want to show people how to install seats in their van, there's a lot of liability attached to installing seats in a vehicle and having someone assume that the way we've done it is safe for them. And like it's kind of like a weird gray area for us with like pointing fingers and liability. So I'm very apprehensive to show people how to install seats. I do have a couple of seat manufacturers we work with directly, and I have talked to them and reached out to see if we can maybe do a collaborative video so we can show it the exact way they want it to be done. Everything's up to snuff and everybody can feel confident when they install their own seat at home. So stay tuned. It's probably one we'll add in the future. I don't have immediate plans on the calendar yet, but thank you for the question. Neil asks, would be interested to see your fixed bed mounting approach. Our Unistrut cabinet video didn't cover how we mount our non-lift bed, and he supposes we have some good ideas. Well, Neil, you are onto something. We do have some great ideas. We're actually filming a series how to put our bed system in right now, so stay tuned. That one should be out in a few weeks, and that should answer some of your questions about how we put in a manual or a simple bed system. Jake asks, he wants to see how we do our internal bump out options for an east-west bed setup. Our bed system works with an east-west bed. We designed it with that in mind. We call those internal bump outs an interior pocket wall. And that's a way that we can sleep east-west, use some of that extra space that's inside of a Ford Transit, and stretch our bed out so people like my size, I'm 5'10", can sleep east-west. I think even up to 6 feet is still comfortable. Once you get above 6 feet, you might want to start looking into something like a flare space to give you enough room to be comfy. But hey, everybody's different. If it works for you, it works, and that's great. We do have an interior bump-out system that we do here at AVC. So we're going to be filming a series about how to install those, how to put them into your van, coinciding with that product launch so that you can do those at home. Basically, it's just like our window frame, so it's a foam ring that we extend our wall out so we get a little pocket wall on the sides and gain that bonus room. If you do have flare space, it does work with flare space as well. When we install flare space here at the shop, it's the exact same system we do. Craig J asks, working with 80/20. So I know there's a lot of DIY videos about working with 80/20, and the only place we use 80/20 in our build is for our roof rack. So we do have a roof rack series coming up where we're going to go over some of the new improvements we've made to our rack over the couple years here, revamping all of our roof rack detailed videos, and now we have a lot of other options for our roof racks. So, solar drop brackets and deck panels and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to put all those together into one fun video so you can see the AVC roof system. But we don't do any cabinets with 80/20, anything like that. We have a CNC here at the shop, so we manufacture all of our cabinetry out of Baltic birch. And there's lots of people building 80/20 cabinets for you, and I think they're a great solution for DIYers. If you want to do that, check out some of those other great videos on YouTube. Jeff F. asks, regarding the wall and ceiling panel install, it'd be great to have some camera or still shots showing where the screws are or how we screw our panels into the van. I think that's a really great question, and I think it's definitely something we can add a little more detail on when we install this next wall kit. So we're definitely going to take some notes on that. We're going to get some better shots for the community so everybody can see exactly where we put our screws. And we'll get some better big picture kind of things so that everybody can get those in there. Sean C comments, I've not found how you attach cabinets to the Unistrat. So we have an upcoming video on how we attach our cabinets to the Unistrat. Mainly you just have to design your cabinet to coincide with those Unistrat rails in the van. We are currently filming a overhead cabinet series to coincide with launching our overhead cabinets. You can see some of these here in the shop. That's part of that series, and it's going to be a fun one. TinyPerson13 asks, maybe a video on recommending the order of things and how they should be done, or maybe putting things together in a playlist. I think you're absolutely right. We are going to make a specific video going over the order of operations, but we like to work from the ground up and then from the outside in. So I always like to cut all my holes in the van first. Once all my holes are in the van, that's my fan, my windows, everything like that. That way all that metal and extra metal bits are easy to clean out of the van. We can get rid of all of those. Then I like to put in my wiring, do my plan for wiring because some of my wires are going to go underneath my flooring. Then I put in my subfloor, my vinyl floor. Then I'll put in my sound dampening and my insulation. Then I start doing my upholstery work, upholstering all of my columns, and then installing my wall kit, and then I can move on to cabinets. That's a really quick and dirty answer, but we're going to put that together in a nice video where we can go over some details in the order of operation. Simon Lambert says, could you show how you frame the sliding door window with fabric before you install the panel? Do you ever cover the metal around the windows in the back before you install the panels? Thanks. Simon, I've never tried to upholster directly to the window frames around there. When I worked for another van shop, we used this like really stretchy speaker carpet, and some of the guys would actually glue the fabric right to the metal of the van around those window frames. And then if they're putting in something like a CR Lawrence, they would capture that fabric with the clamp-on ring. And it looked pretty good. Now that we work with this like tweed kind of stuff here, or Duramax, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't have the same stretch. So stretching it over some of those window contours would be a challenge, but honestly, I've never tried. I'm going to give this one a shot, and if I'm successful, I'll make a video for you guys so you can see it too. Calvin C asks for complete electrical controls and how to put in bench seats. So we're working on the bench seat one. We're going to reach out to the manufacturers like I mentioned before. For complete electrical and control systems, there's actually another channel on YouTube that you've probably seen, Explorus.life, and they have an amazing series on how to do electrical, some really granular detailed stuff where they teach you all the nitty-gritty of how to put a battery system together, and they go in great length. So I would definitely check out some of their stuff. I think they did a really good job and they have some really great insights. We are going to cover some simple electrical stuff here, but we do have our own way of doing controls, and we are going to show you how we put a control panel together and how we control all of our lights and things like that. We'll split that up into a couple. One, I would refer you to Explorus Life, so go ahead and check them out. The other is our control panel video will come out as we get our overhead cabinets going. And then Shannon B asks for some options for charging aside from DC to DC chargers. She mentions that they do have a limited charging capability as they heat up, which is true. And then she mentions something like an inverter to inverter or inverter charger to batteries, kind of things like that. And she even mentions, yes, there is some efficiency loss, and that's exactly where my mind went. I have seen some people run a 110 charger or an AC charger to charge their batteries that they plug into the inverter in the van. And honestly, I don't really see the advantage there. The built-in inverter that's in the Ford Transit is pretty limited in its capability. The only advantage would be that you can run power further with a smaller diameter cable, but cabling is not that expensive and our vans aren't that big. I would just run a DC to DC charger. We run the Orion charger from Victron Energy, and the only problem with that is it's pretty limited. It's a 30 amp charger. They're supposed to have a 50 amp charger coming out soon, and I've been hitting up my dealers about them, trying to get one. And I just don't know when that's going to be out, so probably any day now, and probably before I publish this video, because that's how it goes. But I know other companies like Renogy offer them, the Sterling battery-to-battery charger, things like that. But I've always run a DC to DC charger, and I probably won't get into something like that just because I'm personally not that familiar with it. But I'm sure there's somebody out there, or maybe someone can let us know in the comments below. All right, so that's been it for now. I just want to say thanks again to everybody that left us a bunch of questions so that we could answer. I love bloviating about van life and van builds, so it's always fun to have an opportunity to talk to you and answer your questions. I think we'll make this a thing, so maybe next month we can do another Q&A. So if you have any questions for us next time, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.